From ghostly whispers to shadowy figures caught on camera, the allure of the paranormal has captivated human curiosity for centuries. But what happens when the eerie encounters we can't stop talking about turn out to be big, fat fakes? What's up, Boo Crew? It's me, Selena Myers, and welcome to the Haunted Estate, where we're going to talk about famous paranormal things that maybe you thought were true and were big, phony fakes!
It's all fake.
Excuse you? The things you've seen? The things you've heard? Apologize at once.
Go watch the video at the mill to see the craziest paranormal experience ever.
Oh yeah, was that fake, Adam?
No, it was not fake at all.
You're just trying to be
It
drama.
was insanity. Someone turned off the lights. That was creepy.
And talked. Yeah.
Do you want the lights off?
You need to start the words.
Ooh.
Stories of haunted mansions, mysterious apparitions, and inexplicable events have often found eager audiences. But while some tales stem from unexplained phenomenon, others are the result of elaborate hoaxes that have fooled even the most ardent believers. Number one, and we have talked about them, we have the Fox sisters. Maggie Fox, 14, and her younger sister Kate, 11, concocted intrigue in their bedroom on the eve of April Fool's Day in 1848. Their basic clapboard farmhouse in rural New York resonated with strange hammering sounds night after night. The fact that these noises seemed to answer queries added even greater appeal. Their mother challenged, "If you're an injured spirit, manifest by 3 raps," only to be met with 3 different knocks. This spooky reaction seemed to create a route between the living and the spiritual world. The story of the Fox sisters and their ghostly contacts rapidly spread over the spiritually charged environment of upstate New York, a territory previously known as the cradle of the new religious organizations, including Mormonism and Millerism, and subsequently evolved into a Seventh-day Adventism. That's a lot of tisms. Not the tism that I have, though. You have to hit go. We just filmed a movie in 7 days. We are exhausted, but I'm still here with you, baby. Spiritualism, a movement that enthralled many of the promise of direct personal direction from beyond the grave, has given by spirits the secret knowledge sprang from this rich ground. The sisters traveled to New York City, where their seances drew sizable audiences as their fame developed. Over time, their performances evolved from simple knocks and raps to full-fledged discussions with the dead and the enigmatic emergence of messages on blank cards. However, the weight of the fame was not kind to the Fox sisters. Despite their success, their lives were marred by troubled personal relationships, psychological turmoil, and struggles with alcoholism.
You see that nowadays too. If you become famous for like deception or a lie, it's just not comfortable to live life.
No, it's not. Not only that, look at child stars, right? They're like pushed in, they're doing all this stuff. Like these girls were like 11 and 14 or whatever. Like it's just too much. You're going through puberty, you're evolving, and they just can't handle it. In her 50s, Maggie Fox came clean about the origins of their ghostly encounters, revealing them to be a hoax that began as a childish prank. She confessed that the mysterious knocking had initially been produced by her sister using an apple tied to a string to create thumping noises on the floor. Over time, they refined their techniques, learning to produce popping sounds with their knuckles and toes to enhance the illusion of supernatural presence. Hey you stinky baby. I'm kidding, but honestly, let's get on the same page here. We mean good stinky, right? I have personally been a perfume girly my entire life. Perfume for me is a huge confidence booster. I like to pair my outfit with my scent, and I feel like scent helps you perfectly deliver the vibe that you're trying to emanate. Currently, I've been rotating between 2 scents. We have Sunsets in Capri and my original wedding scent, which is the original Juicy Couture. I first discovered perfume when I was in grade 4. It was a cotton candy body spray, and I used a bottle of it a week back then. I'm so sorry, Mom and Dad. And now, whenever I smell cotton candy, I am shot right back into time in that portable. Scentbird, by the way, is my favorite subscription service because I get to try new scents every single month. This month, I received I'm Expensive. Bam. It is by the Deck of Scarlet. I have been chased down in the mall by a woman who needed to know what I was wearing. It is a lavish, decadent scent with rich notes of pistachio and vanilla bean, while cocoa adds a delectable earthy twist. A dollop of creamy amber rounds the composition, while sandalwood grounds the blend. It honestly smells like what I can only describe as a sexy late date night in November. Does that make sense? Anyways, last month I was sent a scent which I think might end up being my actual new signature scent, and that is Sunsets in Capri. It is so good. It is an energizing citrus floral fragrance to rouse the senses. It is so playful and yummy. I feel like I am the belle of the ball at the garden party. I literally can't get enough of it. Another one that I love right here is Mind Games. Yeah, yummy. It is such a sexy, musky scent, and Adam loves it. It has notes of leather, pomegranate, and rose. You get to try the first fragrance from Scentbird for only $8, and your next month will only be $16.95. The vials are cheaper than a lot of the roller balls and travel sizes you're gonna find in store. Scentbird is a great solution for beginners in fragrance. Change your fragrance every month with Scentbird, avoiding the commitment and cost of the pricey full-size bottles that can range from $300 to $500. I have a lot of those that I don't like. With over 700 fragrances available, you're gonna find something you want to try. Also, look how much is in these samples. It lasts me more than a month, which is nice. If you're interested in trying Scentbird, use my code SPOOKYBOO or the link below to get 55% off of Scentbird. You can get the product for half the price. That is $8, dudes. That is a steal. Scentbird's packaging makes it convenient to carry in your bag or travel worth. Furthermore, honestly, look at how cute the packaging is. Scentbird offers a vast range of fragrances, including popular brands like Prada and Versace. Each fragrance comes with a 30-day supply, allowing you to fully experience the scent. And if you're interested in trying Scentbird, make sure you use my code, SPOOKYBOO, or the link below to get 55% off of Scentbird. Guys, again, that is a product for half the price. $8. Dealy Elio! Thank you so much to Scentbird for sponsoring the show. Now, number 2. In the mid-19th century, an intriguing figure captivated America's East Coast with his uncanny photographic talent. William H. Mumler, an American photographer, became famous for producing images that supposedly revealed spectral forms of the deceased alongside their living relatives.
Oh,
damn.
I'd buy those.
I would, yeah, that'd be
I'd
cool.
fall for that.
I
back
would
then, for
so
sure.
fall for that. Among these haunting images is a particularly striking photograph of a bearded man with a ghostly veiled lady hovering over his shoulder. This image, along with dozens of others by Mumler, has been preserved and displayed in prestigious institutions such as the J. Paul Getty Museum in Los Angeles, California, and the George Eastman Museum in Rochester, New York. Mumler's photographs emerged during the peak of spiritualism, a movement that captivated many with its promise of communication with the dead. Grieving clients, desperate to cling to images of their loved ones, had paid handsomely for Mumler's photos, believing they were authentic representations of the departed. However, the truth behind these eerie portraits was far more mundane and deceptive. According to Lewis Kaplan, a professor of photography history at the University of Toronto, Mumler's method involved a clever trick. He used stock photographs that bore a resemblance to the deceased individuals by skillfully incorporating these existing images into new photographs. Mumler created the illusion that the spirits of the dead were present. Mumler's practice tapped into the deep-seated emotional needs of clients. These, mourning the loss of family members, found solace in these photographs, which seemed to offer a tangible connection to those that they had lost. This type of wishful thinking made Mumler's offerings particularly appealing. The photographs provided a form of comfort and closure during the time when death was both common and profoundly impactful part of life. Despite the initial acclaim, Mumler's reputation eventually suffered as the true nature of his work became known. His techniques were exposed as fraudulent, revealing that his ghostly apparitions were nothing more than artful manipulations meant to exploit the vulnerable emotions of his patrons. So I have a love-hate with this one.
Yeah.
On one aspect, if it never came out that it was fake, he was bringing peace to so many people.
Yeah, but
I find that with some mediums.
Deceive people.
I know, but there are mediums out there who have come out saying, I'm not a medium at all, but I just wanted to bring peace to people. Where I understand their heart was in the right spot. It's not right. You know what I mean?
There's other ways to do that instead of being deceitful.
Counseling.
I think you could find like another method. I get what you mean. Like
Yeah.
obviously mediums and those shoes have helped a lot of people.
Mm-hmm. But
I don't
it's
know.
not
I'm
right.
I'm just the type of person that I want to positively help somebody without deception.
Deception. Adam was just a sweet, nice man who would never have done fake photographs for people.
Not those kind, anyways.
Oh my God. Moving on. Number 3, the Amityville Haunting. A horrific tragedy occurred in the little New York town of Amityville in the fall of 1974. that would subsequently inspire one of the most notorious horror stories in Americans' popular culture. As they slept, 23-year-old Ronald Butch DeFeo Jr. savagely killed his parents and 4 siblings. The ghastly scenario prepared the ground for a narrative well beyond the fabricated accounts of hauntings that followed. DeFeo's cold-blooded acts were soon followed by a confession during police questioning, in which he claimed to have been driven to kill by the voices in the house. He entered an insanity plea and was found guilty and sentenced to 6 straight life terms, so firmly grounding the house's negative reputation in fact. The Lutz family, George, Kathy, and their 3 children moved into the famed Dutch colonial house a year following the disaster. They hired a priest to do an exorcism in hopes of clearing the house, only to have more spooky events. The priest reportedly heard a voice growl, "Get out," and started bleeding from his hands. The Lutz stayed in the house for not long. From unexplainable cold spells to strange slime to Mrs. Lutz levitating above her bed, they went through a sequence of unsettling incidents for over a month. These horrific events drove the family to flee to California, where they eventually worked with a writer to create the Amityville Horror. Inspired by this generously fictionalized description of their 28 days in the mansion, this book became a national hit and spawned many books and movies based on its frightening appeal. Still, there has been discussion over the accuracy of the horrific experiences. Later on, DeFeo's lawyers said that he and the Lutz family created the eerie stories over a few bottles of wine.
I would love to watch the original Amityville Horror with you tonight.
Can we? I don't think I've actually seen the original.
Can you hack that?
Can you hack that?
Can you handle the original Amityville Horror?
I've only watched the one with Ryan Reynolds, so let's do it. A 70s horror movie? I'm down.
All right.
Number 4, we have the Anson Lights. In the quiet expanses around Abilene, Texas, a local legend known as the Anson Lights has captivated the imaginations of thrill seekers for decades. Originating from the poignant tale and loss of the Eternal Search, the story tells the ghostly light was believed to be a lantern held by a grieving mother searching through the night for her son who got lost in a snowstorm. Wait, a snowstorm in Texas? This happened.
Sandstorm.
It's a snowstorm. It could be a snowstorm. It snows in Texas.
Did it say snowstorm?
Yeah.
North Texas, it snows, so you get snowstorms for
Okay.
sure.
This haunting visual, appearing down a lonely stretch of road near a cemetery in Anson, has become a staple of local ghost stories, drawing a high school and college students looking for a supernatural encounter on an otherwise uneventful Saturday night. The journey to witness the Anson Light involves a drive north out of Abilene on US 83 to US 180 in Anson, followed by a right turn and a mile's travel to a cemetery. Adjacent to this somber landmark is a dirt road that leads adventurers to a crucial crossroad. Here, folklore instructs them to turn their car around, flash their lights, and wait for the ghostly illumination to appear, seemingly out of nowhere down the road. However, the mystery of the Anson Lights has recently been unraveled. Not by seasoned paranormal investigators, but by a group of resourceful students from Abilene Christian University, led by Professor Richard Beck. Armed with nothing more than common sense and their iPhones, these students set out to apply a scientific approach to this long-standing myth. Utilizing the GPS and mapping capabilities of their smartphones, they meticulously tracked their location and origin of the mysterious light. Professor Beck and his students embarked on their investigative journey with a healthy skepticism and a keen eye for detail. Upon reaching the fabled crossroads, they employed their technology to analyze and pinpoint the source of the light. What they discovered was both simple and scientifically explainable, yet it effectively stripped the story of its mystical veneer. The so-called Anson Light, which had fueled local legends and chilled the spines of many, was conclusively identified as headlights of cars traveling along the distant highway, their beams distorted and magnified through atmospheric conditions and the rural landscape. This revelation mirrors the findings of a report a decade earlier, which suggested a similar conclusion, but failed to provide definitive proof or trace lights to its precise origin. The efforts of Beck's students not only confirmed these earlier suspicions, but also demonstrated the power of modern technology to demystify legends that have held sway in communities for generations. But see, that's the kind of thing where I'm like, leave it alone, this is fun. Like, we have Critters Lane, right?
Yeah.
Like, it's just like, let the kids have fun. It was a Christian university. Like, come on, leave us alone.
Do you remember the story of Red Eyes around here?
No.
There was a place called Red Eyes. Everybody used to play paintball there. It was out near Beachville.
Is it Two Eyes?
Two Eyes, yeah.
Okay.
Oh,
My mom used to party at Two Eyes when she was a
Isn't
teenager.
it Red Eyes? Oh, it's Two Eyes.
Two Eyes, because it's the two Concrete structure. I've never been there.
No, this was Red Eyes was in Brantford.
Okay, tell me about Red Eyes.
At a hockey camp I went to. There would be like 2 floating red eyes in the forest.
Did you see them?
I didn't know. It was probably just a story they told every group of hockey kids at
Or
hockey camp.
should we go investigate the hockey camp? That sounds boring. Sorry. Number 5, we have the ghost of Coventry University. In the dim lights of his laboratory, Vic Tandy was engulfed by a pervasive sense of dread, a chill that seeped into his very bones as he worked late into the night. His rational mind initially dismissed the tales of the lab being haunted, attributing any strange sounds to the machinery. Yet, on this particular night, the machines lay silent. It was then, out of the corner of his eyes, he glimpsed it, a ghostly, gray figure looming silently. The sight sent a shiver down his spine and made the hairs on his neck stand up on end. Tandy admitted to being quite frankly terrified, mustering all his courage as he turned his face to the apparition, only to watch it vanish into thin air. Shaken, he quickly gathered his belongings and left, the eerie encounter weighing heavily on his mind. The following day, however, he would shift the narrative from supernatural to scientific. Tandy, an avid fencer, brought his sword into the lab for repairs and secured it in a vise. To his astonishment, the blade had begun to vibrate wildly, without any apparent cause. This peculiar phenomenon sparked Tandy's curiosity, leading him to suspect that something in the environment was amiss. His investigation pointed to a newly installed fan system, which unbeknownst to him emitted infrasound sounds at frequencies below 20 hertz, imperceptible to the human ear. The significance of these findings became clear as Tandy realized the fan was generating a steady 19 hertz frequency, precisely at the resonant frequency of his sword. A resonant frequency, objects can experience enhanced vibrations. This principle explains how opera singers shatter glass by hitting the right note. The glass breaks due to vibrations induced at its resonant frequency. But the implications of this discovery went far beyond vibrating swords. The human body shares a similar resonant frequency, particularly around 19 hertz. Tandy deduced that the infrasound was causing the vibrations in his body, particularly his eyes and chest. These vibrations led to his labored breathing and intense feelings of anxiety, physiological responses that manifested as the profound dread and chilling sensations he experienced. Even the vision of the ghost could be explained by a resonant frequencies affecting his eye tissues, creating optical illusions. Driven by this revelation, Tandy expanded his research into infrasound. He conducted further studies in various locations reputed to be haunted, including ancient cellars in Coventry and the eerie corridors of Mary King's Close in Edinburgh. His findings consistently showed elevated levels of infrasound in these haunted places, often up to 200 times higher than in non-haunted settings. Due to meticulous scientific inquiry, Vic Tandy had not only debunked the haunting of his own lab, but it also provided a plausible explanation for ghost sightings in other famously haunted locations. His research into infrasound offered a rational explanation for many elements traditionally attributed to the paranormal.
So is this why people are scared of 5G?
I don't know. I feel like it made my boobs perk
Because
here.
of the frequencies?
I feel like when 5G came around, my boobs were like,
Nips just hard all the time?
no, they just lifted a little bit.
They lifted a little bit?
Yeah, so I have more volume in my hair.
All right, well, we're looking forward to 10G then.
Number 6, Wem Ghosts. A picture taken after a dramatic fire in a 90-year-old town hall in Wem... What? Shortshire?
Shropshire.
Caught what seemed to be a ghostly apparition of a small child standing behind a rail, surrounded in flames in November 1995. Among the throng across the street, Tony O'Reilly, a sewage farm worker and avid photographer, was among them when he snapped the picture that would generate international interest and create the legend of the Wem Ghost. Ooh. The picture attracted interest right away since many people speculated that the ghost was that of 14-year-old Jane Churm, a girl who supposedly started a terrible fire in Wem back in 1677. The fact that the origin of the 1995 fire remained unknown gave the eerie picture to further the mystery. Local historian Tom Edwards echoed O'Reilly's instance that the picture was authentic, even though she passed away in 2005, but the veracity of the picture and the tale around it would soon be called into doubt. 15 years after the photograph was taken, a significant revelation came from Briar Lear, a 77-year-old retired engineer from Shrewsbury. Shrewsbury. Lear reported a striking resemblance between the ghostly figure and a girl pictured in the doorway in 1922 of a postcard of Wilm's High Street, which he had seen in a local paper. The girl in both images wore an identical dress, a bonnet, and a ribbon, leading to Lear to suggest that the photo might have been doctored, casting doubt on the ghost story. This theory gained further support from Greg Hobson, curator of the photographs of the National Media Museum in Bradford. Hobson pointed out that the postcard provided pretty conclusive proof of a hoax, suggesting that the mystery of Wem ghost had been solved. He explained that the technique used to create the doctored photograph was likely a similar method employed by Edwardian-era mediums. These mediums would often engage a trick in photography to bolster their credibility during seances. They would ask for a photograph of the deceased person, take a picture of it in a back room, and then later during the client's consultation, take another picture with the client, and it would be exposed onto the same glass plate, creating the illusion of the spirit visiting them, just like we heard earlier.
Yeah.
The exposure of this technique underscores not only the skepticism that often surrounds paranormal claims, but also the ease with photographic evidence can be manipulated. The Wem ghost story, while captivating, serves as a reminder of the importance of scrutinizing such phenomenon critically. So this happens a lot in this day and age. I get sent photographs and people are like, I caught a ghost. 9.8 times out of 10, it's always from one of those apps where you can like add a ghost. They always look the same, or you like put ghost in Google and you get one of those transparent images and you can just tell they like turn down. Like I see it. I get what you're trying to do. I have seen a couple real ghost photographs in my life. I've taken one. A lot of the time orbs are moisture in the air, dust in the air.
Yeah, I was going to say, you've got those people that are so intense and that every single orb is a ghost.
Yes, and it's not 99.9% of the time. It has a lot to do with color, shape, density. Not only that, like it's really hard. Orbs are really, really hard to dictate. There's also, smoke in a room. Some people catch a bug, that kind of thing. It is what it is. It's hard, but I've actually taken a photo and I have a part of a man in it. It's the craziest ghost photo I've ever seen, and I took it, which was really cool. Now we have number 7, the H family. In the winter of 1912, a mysterious series of events unfolded within a large rambling house built in 1870 and situated in a seemingly benign street bathed in sunlight. The house, which had stood mostly vacant for the previous decade, became the new residence of Mrs. H and her family on November 15th. As documented in 1921 publication of the American Journal of
Ophthalmology.
Wow. Okay. By William Wilmer. That's a name. After whom the Johns Hopkins Wilmer Eye Clinic is named. That transpired next would challenge the boundaries between medical science,
There's a lot of that nowadays.
Yeah, which will challenge the boundaries between medical science and the supernatural. From the moment the family moved in, an oppressive silence enveloped the heavily carpeted house, which was devoid of electricity and illuminated only by gaslight. Almost immediately, the family experienced an overwhelming sense of gloom and inexplicable occurrences that suggested a haunting. Unseen footsteps, severe headaches, unexplained chills, and ghostly apparitions. Mrs. H herself recounted hearing footsteps overheard when no one else was upstairs, and even encountering the unsettling sight of a dark-haired, black-clad woman who mysteriously transformed into her own reflection in a mirror. The family's discomfort grew as their health deteriorated. The children became pale and listless, abandoning their toys and expressing a desire to stay in their bedrooms. Mysterious ailments plagued the household. The plants withered, mysterious sounds echoed through the house at night, and the family suffered from symptoms like the flu. These bizarre events reached a climax when Mrs. H's son, B, claimed that he was called by an unknown presence. And the governess reported a terrifying vision of physical sensations that defied explanation. Household staff also shared tales of eerie footsteps, chilling encounters, adding to the morning dread within the halls of this haunted house. The haunting seemed irrefutable until a pivotal night at the opera led to an alarming discovery. Mrs. H woke feeling as if somebody had tried to strangle her, a sensation so vivid that left her husband rattled and the household on edge. It was then that the possibility of a haunting began to intersect with something more sinister, an earthly danger, carbon monoxide poisoning. Prompted by the suggestion of a relative, a thorough investigation was conducted in the house. A specialist found the furnace was malfunctioning, leaking carbon monoxide into the home. This revelation explained the physical symptoms and hallucinations experienced by the family, attributing what seemed like supernatural phenomenon to the toxic effects of the gas. Immediate actions were taken to ensure the safety of the family, relocating them and treating the children for poisoning. The ordeal of Mrs. H and her family, while initially believed to be a haunting, underscores the dangers of carbon monoxide and the importance of proper home maintenance. I will always feel wildly alert to carbon monoxide for a tragedy that happened, and I think right now is a really good time to pause the computer and go check your carbon monoxide detectors. We had this amazing officer in our town, and she went into the schools and she taught safety about fire alarms and carbon monoxide alarms.
No way, I didn't know that. I thought she was just a police officer.
She was a police officer, but she taught school safety.
She was a safety person for that?
She did that, yep. Oh. And unfortunately, one day she didn't show up to work. The police went to her house, and she was found in the front hallway. She was still alive. Her whole family had passed away in the night because of carbon monoxide poisoning. Her daughter had gone to my high school. It was just one of those really tragic things. It's things you don't think about, right? Like, you don't think about. So check your carbon monoxide. Do it. Don't let anything bad happen to you, okay? All right, moving on. We got number 8, the San Antonio legend. At the eerie intersection of Villamain and Cheyenne, near San Antonio's historic San Juan Mission, lies a stretch of railroad tracks enveloped in legend and tragedy. Dubbed by locals as America's spookiest railroad crossing, this site is reportedly haunted by the spirits of children whose lives were cut tragically short in a horrific accident. The chilling tale that perpetuates this reputation centers around a catastrophic event involving a school bus full of children returning from a field trip. According to...
Whoa. What was that?
I burp. You should say I'm like... According to local lore, on a dark and foggy night, a nun was driving the bus along Cheyenne Road. As they approached the railroad crossing, the bus unexpectedly stalled right on the tracks. The children, most of whom were asleep, remained unaware of the looming danger as the nun struggled to restart the engine. Without warning, a freight train barreling down the tracks with a burnt-out headlight appeared out of the darkness. Despite the nun's frantic efforts to turn on the ignition, the train collided with the stationary bus, slicing it in two in a devastating crash. Miraculously, the nun was thrown clear and survived, but the children were not as fortunate. They were all killed instantly. Haunted by guilt and grief, the nun later returned to the scene of the accident and parked her car on the tracks, intending to meet her end under the same steel wheels that took her students. However, just as another train approached, her car mysteriously was pushed to safety. This inexplicable event is believed to have been the work of the children's ghosts determined to save others from their fate. The story of the ghostly intervention has turned the railroad crossing on Cheyenne Road into a site of pilgrimage for thrill seekers and paranormal enthusiasts from across the nation. Most visitors place baby powder on their car bumpers before parking on the tracks, hoping to see tiny handprints after their vehicle is pushed to safety. Allegedly, other spectral children's way of preventing another tragedy. We have that down on Critters Lane, on that track right there. People do the same thing.
Really?
Shelby, I have a friend named Shelby, one time went down there. It's so muddy. It's not like a kept road. They don't like keep it up in the winter. And she was down there investigating with friends, and her car wouldn't start. Then it started and she couldn't get out of the mud. And when she finally got it out of the mud, there were 2 dirty kid hand footprints on the back of her bumper.
Ooh. It was probably bug.
We were like teenagers.
Oh.
just a 5-year-old behind there. Despite its popularity, the tale of the haunted railroad crossing is met with skepticism. Some experts suggest the phenomenon of cars being pushed off the tracks can be explained by optical illusions or subtle inclines in the terrain. Yet, the allure of the ghost story persists, drawing crowds eager to experience the supernatural.
Drawing crowds.
What'd I say?
Crowds. Making up new words here on the podcast.
Drawing crowds eager to experience the supernatural for themselves. Next up, number 9. Are you ready for this? The Salem Witch Trials. Still a vivid and disturbing chapter in American history, the Salem Witch Trials of 1692 continue under charges of witchcraft. The little Puritan town of Salem Village, now present-day Danvers, Massachusetts, was engulfed in a frenzy that claimed 27 people. 20 executed, and 7 dead in jail. These incidents started with a sequence of troubling incidents involving the little daughter and niece of Reverend Samuel Parris, whose unexplainable symptoms of violent contortions and episodes of hysterical screaming were quickly labeled as witchcraft by a local physician. In the strongly religious and superstitious setting of New England in the 17th century, the devil was real and an immediate menace. To upset and demolish the holy order, the Puritans thought Satan actively sought witches and minions. With recent smallpox outbreaks and the continuous threat posed by Native American tribes, Salem at the time had already a tense atmosphere. These anxieties helped to create a community ready to assign blame for their tragedies by means of scapegoats. The hysteria intensified with the affected girls, who started accusing other members of the society of bewitching them. Soon after these charges, a special court was established to manage matters involving witchcraft. Mostly ghostly, the evidence was against the accused.
Mostly ghostly,
the evidence against the accused meant that although their physical forms were elsewhere, the accused witches were thought to torment the girls in spirits or in visions. For many during the trials, this kind of evidence, though immensely thin and intangible, was sufficient enough for these weirdos to decide their fate. More young girls began exhibiting identical symptoms as the year went on. The circle of accusation grew much larger. About 150 people from Salem Village had been imprisoned under accusations of witchcraft by the fall of 1692. The trials and the executions carried on until a growing mistrust of the governor of Massachusetts' intervention produced notable changes. Concerned by the growing crisis and the dubious quality of evidence, Governor William Phips outlawed spectral evidence and finally dissolved the witchcraft court. Those still in prison were freed and forgiven. Later on, the families of the executed did receive compensation. The fundamental reasons for the witch trials remained a subject of mystery and conjecture, even with the outcome. Historians propose a mix of religious, psychological, and socioeconomic elements had part. Problems from those family conflicts, financial difficulties, and rivalries to the widespread belief of supernatural could have stoked the flames of accusation and frenzy.
just disgusting. People back then, I shouldn't say people back then, I'm stereotyping.
Oh, it's still happening, babe.
It's easier to do it back then because we don't have the means to call everybody out like we can now.
Well, here, witches can live openly. Damn, what do I do?
Yeah.
Number 10, ghosts in the closet. In a curious visit from Coventry, England, captured by Lisa Manning, the eerie phenomenon of a closet door eerily swinging open and a chair mysteriously sliding across the floor have sparked a blend of intrigue and skepticism. Broadcasted by independent television news ITN, the footage prompted this question: is the family being visited by a poltergeist? The video, while chilling, leaves room for doubt as to the authenticity of the events depicted. The video, which can be described as both spooky and hokey, depending on one's belief of the paranormal, features lightweight objects, a closet door, and a chair that some viewers suspect could have been manipulated by simple tricks like fishing line, possibly by someone just out of camera's view. Contrary to more dramatic claims made by the Manning family to the media, the chair in the video does not dramatically crash into the wall, but simply scoots a few feet. Similarly, the door does not exhibit violent slamming or come unhinged, rather than just open slowly and gently. Further casting doubt on the video's authenticity is the evident editing. The footage is not a continuous clip, but rather a compilation of separate events stitched together in a way that obscures whether they occurred subsequently or even in the same context. This editing makes it a challenge to tell if the full extent of what's going on or what the uncut tape might reveal. So that's just a little one there. So I see ghost videos all the time. I've reacted to tons of them. I think it's fun all the time. There's some that get me, like some of the dull ones. I think there are genuine ghost videos out there. Here's the thing. Whenever I've dealt with ghosts moving things, a lot of the time there's no one in the fucking room, which is crazy. You leave, you come back and something's moved, right? Then there's the ones where things do happen right in front of you, but they look so fake that everybody thinks that they're literally fake. I have had that happen. I have had fake ass things happening.
We have those videos somewhere from the old house.
From the kitchen and in the...
Where are those?
They're on my Facebook. They're deep.
We need to find those.
And that was the thing.
That was insane.
It's a butter plate with a knife, and it just kept twirling on the counter, and people thought oh, there's water under. There's all these different things that could make sense. It was same counter with the blender, and it happened. And that's the thing. It's so hard to judge something. But sometimes I feel like someone's being like so loud about it, or it's like getting like the more they talk about it, the more it's happening, which is how it happens with ghosts. It's just so hard. There's no way to disprove anything or to prove anything unless somebody comes out, and that's the truth.
Yeah.
Right? For me, ghosts aren't so much manipulative of things as they are in my head and the way that I see and hear things. Do you know what I mean?
Leftover energies.
Residuals.
Like, most of the time for you, it's residuals, is it not? More so than there actually being a presence of something?
Yeah. And a lot of the time, like, I'm not like a total presence seeing. Like, I will see, so I could see a ghost and it will look like Adam. I won't even know it's a ghost. It'll be as thick as him. Like, how often when we're driving do I go, do you see the lady in the pink pants?
Oh, yeah.
And he's like, but almost all the time he sees the lady.
And that's something some people don't understand when we're talking about ghosts. We just use ghosts as a blanket term.
Mm-hmm.
We're not calling them a legitimate specific ghost in a legitimate specific term. Like, it just means it could be literally anything, but there's some kind of energy in presence in that moment.
Could be a residual, could be intelligent, could be demonic, could be any of these things.
Anything.
Yeah,
we call it a ghost.
Yeah. All right, next one, we have number 11, the Cottingley Fairies. I recently was at...
Okay, we got to talk about this.
I don't get the fairy thing. I'm sorry.
What's that book called?
A Court of Thorn and Roses or something?
I don't know.
They call it Actor or something. Everybody's into this book. I can't do fairies. I've tried to do fairies. I can't do it. This lady came up to me at Indigo. She's like, I don't read anything but fairies having sex. She's like, I don't know what it is about it, but I love it. I tried to listen to a Court of Fairies. I can't. I'm not a fantasy girl. I'm so sorry. I like fantasy as far as like Harry Potter, but like when we're like, I'm not into Avatar. I'm not into Lord of the Rings. I'm sorry.
You're definitely not into fairies.
I'm definitely not into fairies. I could write it probably.
Yeah.
I'd be upset about it, but I could write it. It could be the hottest.
Write some right now.
Fairy. Okay.
Don't go too deep. This is YouTube.
Yeah.
Keep it PG.
Leah, the fae, walked out on the porch of her lily pad.
Fairies are tiny, right?
Yeah, she's on a lily pad.
Okay.
And she saw him across the pond, resting upon a giant bullfrog. It croaked.
This isn't very fairy-like.
Stop.
This is the adventures.
Stop! They're in the swamp! Get off me, swamp!
This is the adventures of the swamp
Stop.
fairies.
She heard the bullfrog croak before it leapt into the water. What did I name the boy fairy again?
Thea or Fia? Faye?
I don't know. The boy fairy
Faye.
swam, holding on to the bullfrog, over to Leah.
There's boy fairies?
He jumped on her lily pad.
Oh, fairy is a race.
Stop, yeah. Fae is fairies. He jumped onto her lily pad, and he said, wow, this lily pad is soft. He's like, I'm still gonna stop. You kept introing. I could have got you something good.
Okay, I won't interrupt next time. I promise. I'm sorry, guys. I just couldn't.
I want to talk about horny fairies. In the early 20th century, a seemingly magical event unfolded in the quaint village of Cottingley, right?
Yeah.
Cottingley? West Yorkshire, that captured the imaginations of many around the world. Young cousins, Elise Wright, age 16, and Frances Griffin, age 9, produced a series of photographs that they claimed depicted real fairies frolicking near their home. The initial photographs, taken in 1917, used Elise's father's camera. It showed the girls interacting with delicate fairy figures, and these images quickly catapulted into international fame. Upon their release, the photographs were subsequent scrutiny by various experts of the day and were astonishingly declared genuine. The validation of these images fueled widespread public interest and enthusiasm, particularly among spiritualists. One of the most prominent proponents of the photographs' authenticity was Sir Arthur Conan Doyle, the creator of Sherlock Holmes, a fervent believer in spiritual. Don't laugh. And a fervent believer in spiritual and psychic.
It's such a dumb word.
You interrupted when I was trying. I finally got it.
Such a dumb word.
Stop!
Such a dumb word.
The creator of Sherlock Holmes and a fervent believer of spiritual and psychic phenomenon, Doyle heralded the Cottingley fairy photographs as concrete evidence of the supernatural existence, which only amplified their reach and significance worldwide. My mom believes in fairies. She thinks if you plant lily of the valley, the fairies will come. I think this is my issue. My grandma used to always talk about these fairies. I never saw these goddamn fairies. Then my uncle, who's off his rocker, went to Europe and thought he brought home gnomes in this giant hat that had a huge tail. He would leave rice out for them all around the table, and it scared me. So I think that's why I'm not like super into that kind of stuff. So, however, the fairy tale aura surrounding the photographs was not to last. In 1978, renowned magician and skeptic James Randi utilized computer enhancement techniques to closely examine the images and discovered evidence of manipulation, specifically strings that appeared to be attached to the fairies. This revelation prompted the reevaluation of the photograph's authenticity. The final unraveling of the Cottingley fairy mystery came in 1983 when Elise Wright and the Francis Griffin, then much older, confessed in a magazine article that the photographs had indeed been fabricated. The fairies in the pictures were art crafted from painted paper and supported by hat pins, not ethereal beings that they had once claimed. However, despite admitting the hoax, both cousins maintained that they had genuinely seen fairies, separating their personal experiences from the faked photographs. Okay, that one did no harm. Do you know what I mean? It was fun. We got to think fairies existed.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that one's cute.
That one.
My mom probably fell for
If
that.
you're going to fake gnomes or fairies or something that's already clearly likely not real.
Well, I'm not saying they're not real. You know what? When
let's talk.
When we first moved in, what did I think the lightning bugs were?
Fairies.
Yeah, moving on.
My point, exactly.
All right, guys, so that is all that we have for today. Hopefully you enjoyed this video, and don't forget to subscribe to my channel. Hit the bell icon on your way out. And do you believe in fairies? Have you named one? Have you met one? Tell me your fairy stories. Make me a believer. Make me want to read this Actor book because everybody loves it. So until next time.
Go read Selena's books.
Yeah, go read my books. They're on Amazon. I have a new one coming out sometime soonish. News will be happening. Anyways, I love you guys. You're amazing. And stay spooky, Boo Crew. Oh my god, there's a fairy on my phone. It's you.
Oh.
The story of the Fox sisters and their ghostly contacts rapidly... The story of the Fox sisters and their ghostly contacts my ass. I can't read. I need to go home. I am home.
It's hard on the prompter. It's really far away from you. The words are really small.
That's not it, Adam. I'm just dumb.
Wink, wink.
I'm dumb.
Don't say that out loud. What have we been talking about?
I'm beautiful, and I'm kind, and I'm strong.
Thank you.
And I'm positive, and I smell nice. And I only shit twice a day like a normal person. It's all lies.